I was crossing the street when I misplaced my sandal. Without thinking, I turned back to get it and was hit head-on by a car. It was the most memorable blow of my life, and it paled in comparison to what was to come. I saw myself sliding into a tiny ditch on the side of the road and realized I was severely injured. Perhaps I was dying. I was hurled into the interior of an ambulance that was intended to save me as soon as I asked the question. I noticed the nurse drop her ring. I saw where the ring dropped because it belonged to her mother. The driver then became disoriented. I thought I'd never make it to the hospital at that point, but I was ecstatic. But is it already over? I wondered. What good fortune! I entered the tunnel, which I somehow appeared to be familiar with, and proceeded at breakneck speed towards home, with no intention of pausing to inspect everything in the tunnel. I simply wanted to get home. The tunnel was semi-transparent, and I saw spots of light that morphed into rays of uneven light, similar to the headlights of a car driving down a curved road. My pace increased until the light could no longer reach me, and I saw the tunnel was one enormous curve, albeit a barely visible curve that I could feel. Then I was back home. I was in forever, surrounded by light. Even if I didn't comprehend every answer, every inquiry I asked received an immediate and clear response. Many voices sang a sweet tune around me, but I couldn't comprehend it. I was walking barefoot in an undulating expanse of soft grass when I noticed an oak tree not far away. It was bigger than anything I'd ever seen before, a dazzling green-like life. I could write an entire book just about that tree, but I'll stop here. A young boy waited for me beneath the tree. He was lovely and elegant. He urged me to take a break, letting me sit on a wooden bench at a table with bread and red wine on top. My father had made wine on earth, so I know it well and love the red wine. Everything you see is like looking at clouds, he stated after I finished eating. You see a small dog, but it's just a cloud. You can see yourself at home now, but you know you're almost there. You must come back. I replied with a dry and firm no. I couldn't understand why I had to leave when I was feeling so happy. Don't you miss your father and mother? He objected. No, they'll be here soon, and I'll see them again, I replied. Time is meaningless. It does not exist. He showed me with great compassion and patience that I still have a lot to learn, and that my life is a journey. I had the option of taking several routes, but I had to travel from A to B. Marble statues reflected crucial events in my life, while others were constructed from new clay that was still flexible, allowing me to turn them into something else. I realized that the point is not when, time does not exist, but that all conditions must be met, the most important of which is free choice. The conditions for reaching or missing the objective are determined by a succession of free will choices and reactions to events. It's so liberating that one can attempt and try again. It makes no difference how long it takes or where it occurs. Time and space do not exist. The only thing that matters is that you meet the conditions in order to get at your objective. I hadn't arrived anywhere yet. Despite all of this information, I refused to return. So he seized me in his arms and led me to the river from which there was no return, as well as the cities that lay beyond the river. He told me I could wait indefinitely and not be concentrated because he'd kept all of his promises. He told me a lot of things, but I was too busy cuddling in his arms and being lulled by his voice to listen. I glanced at his ring with childish wonder. It was bas relief with 3 intersecting curved lines that created a triangle. There was a one-of-a-kind sign with a pen that could write indefinitely. Now you can return in peace, I heard. I rejected with all the tenacity a child is capable of. You have to ask my father, he explained. I was not terrified and was really motivated. I agreed. He walked me down the street. I'd have to trek through a maze of hedges, but I was desperate and tried everything I could not to go. I traversed the hedge in a straight line, cutting and clawing myself with great pain, knowing full well that this hedge was the only object there that might truly harm me. Then I was scooped up by the father's loving arms. He addressed me by my given name, which means little monkey full of curiosity and defiance. And I knew him as my god, with whom I had spent so much time playing. So let's see. Are you ready? Do you love mankind? Of course. Besides yourself? Possibly. In principle, yeah. So much that you'd give your life for it? Unconditionally, yeah. We didn't understand each other. Do you have feelings for me? I would stay for eternity if I could. So, if you love me and humanity as much as you love me, return, and my will be done for their welfare. He duped me for the greater good. Arguing with him is difficult because he's always correct. I thought, but he heard me and we both burst out laughing. I'm not sure how else to put it. I couldn't decide whether to return to Earth or to leave. I was urgently crying and turned to the youth, who requested me not to recall since the homesickness may have harmed me and that I would remember my experience as needed. But I rarely follow advice or comply, so I still suffer to this day. I was terrified since it appeared that I would not be able to accomplish my destiny in life. Please, I entreat you, I urged the young man. I know I'm not going to find my way. I beg you. I don't want to let him down. I ask you, when I fail, to grab my hair and drag me back here. In that instant, I shall legally relinquish all freedom. Take me, even if I say no. I wanted to deck him after he said, I have faith in you. But he stopped me. Yes, I will interfere, he said with a smile. But I'll be there for you every day till the end. In reality, the first half of the pledge was all that mattered to me. The travel back was excruciating in every way, and I don't want to go through it again. I re-entered my body as if I were putting on a glove. First the fingers, then the whole of the hand. Then came the terrible anguish in my body, and I awoke from my coma on my own, as the brain monitor showed. My brain was virtually hanging out of my skull, and I still have such a scar that X-rays require hospitalization. But I'm fine, and the doctors say it's because of my exceptional capacity and reactions as a child. When I awoke from my coma, I yelled at all the doctors, "Assassins! You don't get it. I could perish here. Make me return. You're all cursed. Please, help me die." I only felt at ease when I saw the first nurse who had misplaced her ring and told her where she could find it. So, with much difficulty, I began to remember everything, and I mean everything, even the things I shouldn't have remembered. The doctors were concerned about my mental state and prescribed psychiatric assistance. They also referred me to an organization that studies near-death experiences. Today, at the age of 40, I can state that I had no idea how correct he was. Thank you very much, Father.